Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
Hey, fellas.
Hey.
So listen, I was thinking about, when I was a kid, I used to have all these experiences that I could very well say were psychic experiences. Not only just psychic, I would just know stuff, right? But also I felt like I could make things happen. And one of the first things that I felt like I made happen was it was this little kid that was being mean to me. And so I was like, I hope he break his leg. And so the next day he had on a cast up to here and his leg was broke. And so from that point I was like, well, I can't say mean things about people or whatever. But also one time I had told me and my next door neighbor, we had decided that we were going to pretend like we were sick so that we don't have to go to school the next day. So the next day when I got up, I was sick. I was literally sick. And so I didn't end up going to school, but she went to school. And so when she came back home, she was like, what happened to you today? I was like, I'm sick. And she's like, no, you're not. You're lying. But I really was sick. But then I realized, oh, I can't lie. Right? Because if I lie, that's going to come true. If I wish bad things on people, that's going to come true. So, but anyway, so I spent like my first, maybe close to 10 years feeling like I was psychic, because I would have all these kind of experiences. If I told y'all some of y'all would be like, what? But I would have all these kinds of experiences. But I remember specifically watching 60 Minutes, and it was talking about people who could do psychic stuff or whatever. Right. And then there was a scientist on there, and he explained it all away. So he's like, there's no such thing as this. If you're singing a song and then the same song comes on the radio, it's probably because you had heard it early, you heard it before you actually heard it. Anyway, he just basically explained it all away, said there was no such thing. And so I believed him. And so from that point, I stopped having these experiences. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s before they started coming back, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? But anyway, that's not really what I want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is how at a certain point in time, to talk about anything that was kind of maybe supernatural or psychic or whatever, people would kind of think you were crazy, Looney Tune or whatever. And then just to watch how much that has changed over time. And I remember when we first started our business, we had a certain set of questions we would ask the people who were being interviewed. And I remember how the answers to those questions changed over time. And it morphed from the concrete, and it moved to the kind of that world in between when they answered the questions. And so someone had made a comment the other day that I heard. No, I think I was reading a book, and they said, the Earth is speeding across the galaxy. And I think I looked it up. It might be moving at about maybe about 1 million miles per minute or something. Anyway, it's moving really fast across the galaxy. Across the space. And so they were like, have you ever thought about where it's moving to? And I was like, I never thought about that before. And so what I was thinking is, if I move from this chair to another chair across the room, I've just changed my environment. I'm changing what I'm looking at. I'm changing the angle. So many things are changing. That why wouldn't I think if the earth is moving, that it's changing as well? And so that just really got me to thinking about the shifts that I have seen, witnessed in my lifetime, looking out into the world, how things have changed, but also how things have changed in my own personal life. And I just wanted to kind of throw it out and see if you guys have noticed any shifts, or kind of like, and when I'm saying shifts, what I'm really talking about is how we have grown up thinking in such a three-dimensional way, and how our thinking has changed over time, and kind of what, if you have any markers or milestones, or like, I remember thinking this, and then it shifted to this.
I would say something that I have noticed a lot, just by being in the field of work that I'm in, people houses that I go to, you know, and we just start having conversations, and I just pay attention, like around the house. I would see things about chakras. I would see things about, you know, we talking fifth dimension, and it's more so as to where, when I think about it, at one point, nobody wasn't really, you know, talking about it. People knew about it, but it wasn't openly discussed. And I think now it's very more so okay and more acceptable to actually talk about it now, you know. I think I really didn't get to understanding the things that we talk about now on the show until like 2000, I'm gonna say 2018, 18, around about that time. And I just was picking up things from everybody, you know, getting new information, looking into things, and I'm like, okay, all right. And my eyes started opening up a little bit, and I'm like, wow. So now I want to tell everybody about it, right? But when I wanted to tell everybody about it, they was looking at me like I was crazy. So that made me just shut down a little bit. And now, so it's more, everybody's talking about it. Everybody is on this enlightenment path, and you know, want to do better, higher vibrations. You hear more of vocabulary words used as far as like energy, you know, vibrations, and at one time you didn't hear all of that. So
Law of attraction.
law of attraction. You know, I mean, the list goes on. So
Manifesting.
manifesting. Yeah. So I think now it's a lot more seen and heard of now.
Yeah, I feel like the shifts in my life were all at different times too. Like when I'm looking back now, like around like 20, like I might have been like a teenager when I started hearing the terms and the phrases, but the places I was hearing them at, I was never gonna apply it. So the first time I ever heard chakra, I was watching a cartoon, and it was like an anime cartoon, and the anime was really big on all the different chakras and the vibrations and things like that. And now fast forward to like my life now, I'm like, oh, I see they were installing some of those things then, and I could have learned it then, but I didn't know what I was watching. But my path to like really understanding started right around 2018 as well. Was fresh out of college, started spending more time on Navet, and then as a result, my thinking started to change, because it was like, all right, it was, honestly, the podcast was a big part of it for me too, because it's like, all right, I was coming in weekly, we were sitting down, like listening to you record and talk about these things. It's like, all right, well, how many times am I gonna come in here weekly and listen to this stuff and then go home and do the exact opposite? So in 2018 was like that shift for me. But I do also feel like what you guys are saying, that it did happen around the world as well around that time. Because 2018, I started making my shift, and I feel like I was talking to my family, and like they were accepting and understanding, but like, I don't really know. But now, like, I feel like in 2023, the conversations I have with my family are completely different than even then, and then the conversations that I hear them have with each other have shifted more to like this lane as well. So the universe and the world spinning is interesting because I do think that it did speed up the way in which everybody was able to process this new processing system.
Yeah, I think it's very neat just seeing the shift in the people around you too. After, like you were saying, we started learning this information and things like that, and saying it early on, and now even the people around you are like, a lot of times people around me, like my close friends, and you know, people in my circles, so to speak, they shock me all the time, like all the time. I'm like,
what you know about
you
that?
was listening, like they shock me a lot, and I'd be like, oh, you do understand that, and a lot of times I used to dismiss them a lot, like, you ain't gonna get what I'm saying, like that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I learned, like, nah, they listening, and they understand. And a lot of it is the place I held in their life, like, okay, this my guy, so like, what is he doing? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have noticed a lot of shift in myself for one, and definitely the people around me too.
I remember you used to always say, they ain't know what we on.
I still like to say that. But it's funny you say that because, you know, I say it jokingly now, but I used to feel that way. And like what Steven was saying about seeing it, like everybody talking about it now. I used to view that negatively, you know, like, man, we've been trying to tell, you know, like that. yeah. And but now it's beautiful to me. Like, it's really beautiful to see it and to see people changing their thinking from the common thing we done heard all of our lives and things like that. Like, it's I love the beauty in it now, but I didn't always, and so that's the shift in my mind too.
It's so refreshing, though. It
is.
Right? It's very refreshing, you know.
No, I remember when I felt like I started aligning a lot more with what we were doing and saying. I started hearing it a lot more too. And one of my favorite things is to come to Rod and be like, man, did you hear when such said this? Like, they be on that too. Like, I remember like around 2018, 2019, I feel like it was just a bunch of rappers dropping freestyles, but I feel like in every freestyle there was something about gratitude, there was something about like just everything that we were speaking about. I was like, man, like, you hear Big Sean, he kind of be talking about what we talking about. Well, such and such talk about what we talking about. And I'm like, well, I wonder were they always and I wasn't hearing it, or did it just start for them too?
It's funny you said that because I notice now I view things this way, and so when people are talking, they couldn't necessarily not even be looking at it the way I'm looking at it, but the way I view what they saying, be like, oh yeah, like I be viewing it how, you know, what we on or whatever, but I be viewing what they saying as that, and their conversation is that, and so a lot of times I don't know what they saying. I mean, like, if they're looking at it the way we do, but the way I'm seeing it is like that.
Yeah. I got some friends that they're very traditional, you know what I'm saying? And I came from that too, right? So even now, like the things that we all talk about and things I talk about on my page, they're more so understanding, or at least they're open. They're more open-minded to understanding and actually listening to, like, that sort of makes sense. So it's like I planted a seed, and now all of a sudden it's like, at first I didn't think nobody was paying me no attention, or they were stuck on just what they knew, right? And now it's seeing them just sort of like they are doing, I guess you would say, research, or they're listening to something new, or just having different perspectives from what they're so used to seeing and listening to. And to me, I just love it. Like I just sit back and just listen to them talk, and I'm like, I just love it. just keep talking, you know. And it's without me even having no influence. Like I'm not trying to, even though I know what they're talking about, I don't say nothing. I just listen to what they're saying. I'm like, that's right. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And it's different levels, as we all know. Like we switch levels. And I remember one time Rodney saying, because I had asked Rodney when I first wrote my book, When Black Women Speak, I was like, did you get it? And he was like, yeah, I got it. And I said, you got what I was talking about? He was like, yeah, I got it. And then I guess about maybe a year later, he was like, you know that time you asked me, did I get what you were talking about? He was like, I realized I ain't get it. He's like, but now I got it. But then about a year later, he was like, remember I told you? He's like, then I thought I had it, and then I still didn't have it. And then I thought I had it, and I still ain't have it. But now I get it, so I'm waiting for him to tell me that again.
But like I say all the time, you think you understand something, and you can really just understand it on the surface level, and then you take that thing a step deeper the next year.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Then you go a step deeper the next year, like, oh, like I really thought I had it, and nah, I done tapped into some whole different levels of this, and I noticed that in my life now that happens all the time because I feel like as my mind expands, it's like I start understanding things on a totally different level. Like, you know, people can say, yo, I know people, like I can get people.
Right.
But no, I know people like now, like, and then no, I really know people, like I really understand, like it's just like those things, like the more my mind expands and the more experiences and things I have and the more I free my mind to different creativities and things, like I just start understanding things totally different, way deeper, way more. Yeah.
That's dope. That's I think one thing I could say, just going through the process of just evolving and elevating, is that at one time the information I was getting, I kept it to myself, you know, because I already knew some people already looked at me crazy when I first started talking about it, so I shied away from even saying anything, right? And then over time, as I kept learning and started applying the information to my life and seeing how it started to change me and my thought process, everything, I started to get more comfortable and being authentic with myself. I'm like, why am I hiding this? You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is what's in alignment with me, why am I not being my authentic self and just actually just, hey, showing people, hey, this me, you know what I'm saying? This is where I'm at now, you know? So over time, I've gotten to that point as to where I don't care if somebody think I'm crazy. I mean, this is what I know, yeah.
You know that one of the clearest things I can think about you saying that I started getting deeper and deeper is you had an ebook called I Am More Than That. And when I first read it, I'm like, yeah, I'm more than all them things, you know, like I'm more than 1 + 1, you know, like I'm 3, you know. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm more than that. Like I'm more than anything that's outside of, like I just started understanding it more and more, and that's one of the most vivid ones I can remember is the book for one, of course, but that I Am More Than That ebook, like something about that like just kept clicking more and more for me. Yeah.
I want to go back to what Stephen had just said too, because I feel like that might have been one of my most recent shifts as well, which was you know it, you understand it, you live it, but why won't you share it? I was still carrying a judgment on myself and also a judgment on what I thought the world would judge me as at the time. But that when I released that, it felt so good to like be, like I feel like over the last few years I've been telling y'all like I like to just go into every place and be like my full authentic self. And so I remember the feeling of going into work when I was doing this on the side, and then I remember the feeling of going into work where this is me. And that feeling was completely different, and the way the days went like that was a huge shift for me as well. And it's It actually leads to one of the better feelings I have. Like now, whenever somebody gives me a compliment and they like compliment like my personality, is like, no, like you really made me feel good. That makes me feel the best because it's like, oh, because I know that I didn't do anything different or special. I just showed up as my authentic self, like fully, and that's what everybody's loving. So that was a big shift for me.
To piggyback off that, I'm still in like the process of getting all the way fully there, but that's something I learned. I used to always say like, cause I always felt like I was smart, you know. So,
Right.
But I used to always say like, nah, they ain't gonna hear me until like I got something to show, like something physical for you to see.
Right.
That you'll say, okay, I need to listen to him. But as I have grown, I've noticed that the impact I had on many lives is nothing is physical about it. Just the feeling somebody may get when they're around me, or just the shift I may say something, and just the shift somebody else may have. Like a coworker, she like, you know, you said this and I feel like you did, like, it's just all of this, you know. I feel like my presence now is like the gift, like that's what I can provide, instead of saying, yo, I gotta show you something physical for you to believe what I'm saying. Now my presence is what shows you now.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's some deep stuff. So I do want to say, like, how we're saying, like, okay, now it seems like everybody's talking about it. And, like, it is way more present in the population now than it's ever been. But I also want to say that what you focus on, you get more of. So, like, we're seeing it because that's where our focus is. And so, but we're still the leading edge, right? Like, everybody who's watching this podcast, y'all are the leading edge. Just the point that you're already interested in this, you're the leading edge. You are the light that's shining out, and you're the people who people are looking to and saying, dang, they shining bright. What they doing over there? You know, so we are the leading edge. You will start seeing it more in the population, simply because, one, that's your focus, but two, because the brighter your light shines, the more people you're going to touch and tap and kind of wake up, and then each one of those people are going to do the same thing to someone else. So, like you said, it is so beautiful to watch, to be a witness to it, to be on the leading edge, and to watch as it just kind of spreads out. So thank y'all.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys for watching us, and thank you for being on the leading edge and being a bright light and shining for others to see. Until next time, this is Arvette.
And that's Steve.
Jerome.
Rodney.